Hello, everyone. So, over the next couple of weeks, you should see a few new features drop inside of Sudowrite. One of those is what's on my screen right here, the long awaited project folders. So, just scroll down here. So, you see, go to folders at first and then to my regular projects. This is going to be an awesome way to get your screen cleaned up. To create a new folder, you can click New right here, same as if you were going to create a new project. But now you have the option to create a new folder. And you see it here. I have the options to delete it for whatever reason, or I can actually move it to one of the other folders that I have created. You can also just drag it if you want. There's not a hard limit as far as how many folders you can create within other folders. I'll show you this one right here. This has a few projects. And then if we go to my publishing folder, and then we have a few folders in here. This is just a way to sort however you want. If you want to sort by genres, nonfiction, fiction, then sort by fantasy, romance, whatever, works in progress, complete a project. The options are all up to you. If I want to create another folder in here, this folder and these projects, so I'm just going to click New Folder. There we go. And if I want, let's just put that over there. There we go. And this will help very nicely for your cleaning up the screen. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm so happy for all of this stuff right here. Let's just do a few and clean this up. The unnamed projects folder right here. After you press or type in the name, you can just click off the screen or you can press enter. If you want to, it's actually, maybe not click on the name thing. Let's see, can you name it here? Yeah, you can. So that was one of the tweaks they made recently. There we go. And then I can just, again, either drag it up here or click the three dots and tell it to move it to that folder. I go in here. Of course, again, I can just make another folder inside this if I want. Start arranging things like that. Again, next week, you should get project folders. Of course, that is barring any last minute issues that do arise. This is the resources card, what used to be up on the side of Sudowrite. In fact, I'm going to show you like right here, all of these. Instead, they are linked right here. You can actually close that out if you don't want it. If we have any deleted projects, if I delete the folders or projects, they're now here instead of, again, that menu here for deleted projects. It's now in your settings icon, deleted projects, and there you go. So very nice. And then, of course, I could click into whichever one of these. I want to join the Discord, whatever you want. That is the project folders. Another new feature that will be coming out sometime probably over the next couple of weeks is series support. That will be in a way similar to folders in that if you have a series going, you can actually put them in a series folder for that project. And whenever you go into one, you'll actually be able to see various things for each book. If I'm in book 3, I can actually see the outline for book 1, book 2. If I need to remember an event, your characters and world building will all be shared across all of the books in that series. You won't need to duplicate them or anything like that. Series support is going to be awesome. Again, should be releasing in a couple of weeks, barring any issues. And yet another new thing that is coming, so you may know, many of us have been testing the unlimited outline feature, and that should be releasing to everybody soon. We have our old outline box. That was, of course, limited to 1,700 words. I can actually convert this to the new outline if I want. It brings it up right here. Bring outline, it's history. You choose to convert. This is what's going to happen. The outline's not properly formatted. It's just going to be removed. I have Act 1. I have Chapter 1. So my chapters are properly formatted. That's good. If it is properly formatted, it'll become the current version in the new version of the outline. So let's convert this. Now your screen may be different. You might actually go into your project and you won't have that ye old outline box. That was from the beginning of the beta test. So yours will probably look slightly different. Instead, yours may look something, let's see how this is going to pop up. No. So instead, yours may just have the regular looking outline box underneath, and then you might have the box that says use new outline, something along those lines. You can also import your outline. So there is a template to follow for that, a CSV template. And that way, if you don't want the AI involved, you've already got your outline situated elsewhere. You can just copy that in and import it that way. But here's a look at the new outline. These boxes are near unlimited. You can drag things around if you want. There are a few bugs that they're still working out, so you may see a few of those happen as we work through this. But some things you can do, you can add a new chapter if you want. You can say where that chapter is going to be added, at the very beginning, at the end, or hey, I need a chapter after chapter 11. I could click that placement and click add chapter. It'll go there. You can also add an act if you need to. And of course, all of these can be removed. Delete that. Same thing with each chapter. I can actually delete the chapter. If I click into it, you will see this rewrite box similar to what characters and world building has, so I can actually have it rewritten here. A few of the things I really love about this new outline, I was never one to max out my outline before. I like to keep my outline simple, as you can see here. Very simple plot points. That way I can do all my details in the beats the way I like to. But what I'm really loving is how well it is following style directions and listening to things such as telling it to add in subplots, add in romantic relationship arcs. If you want to tell it to follow a certain template, Beat Snyder format, whatever you want, it's listening really well to things like that. You can see here, I actually did scene and sequel for this one. And of course, I have my usual formatting here that I told it. The POV, date, time, setting, and the plot point that I want to focus on. I know a lot of people want to say, hey, write 40 chapters, 45 chapters. So you can do that. The prompt I have been using, let me actually pull that up. It is, let me see if I can remember. Excuse me while I go to my Notion doc and make sure I told y'all this prompt here. So generate an outline with only however many chapters. Let me just copy that over. I did do some testing and I find this works best, listens on point whenever you put it in the genre and in the synopsis box. I would copy that here as well. Something I want y'all to keep in mind, and this brings us to another feature that I am really loving in the outline. If you're telling it you want 45, 40 chapters, even 35 chapters, remember your outline box is pulling from synopsis. And synopsis is limited to 800 words, right? So it's not seeing your brain dump. It's not like characters and world building where if synopsis is empty, it looks at brain dump. That doesn't happen with outline. So if you're telling it a lot of chapters, keep in mind, it is taking this little bit of story information and trying to create all those chapters. In my testing, I found normally along chapters 20, 25, something along those lines, it would actually be through my story information. And if I told it to do more chapters after that, it does a lot of epilogues or just adds in new plot points that aren't in my synopsis. Because again, it's trying to do its job. It only had that 800 words or so of story information, and you told it to do this many chapters. It's trying to do that. But it didn't have enough information to actually create the entire story that you wanted to tell from that. So I do recommend keeping this low, at least starting out. However, I'm going to show you how you can have 45 chapters and it will go much better. One of the new features with the outline, let me scroll here. I have to actually delete all of these. Let's delete the outline. All right, so you see it's our regular box. We have generate novel outline, we have the arrow, and you can choose what format you want. One of the new ones is custom outline. You see here, my usual format is here, the way I like my chapters laid out. But something you can also do, I go up to my brain dump, copy that back into custom outline. I'm going to paste my brain dump. Here is all of the brain dump right here, down, and then we have the beginning of my instructions. So how many words can this actually hold? Well, let's find out. That's to paste a brain dump, and that is 3. I just pasted brain dump in here 3 times, and our brain dump is how many words? 1,078. So that's over 3,000 words in the brain or in this outline thing. And that gives it more story information to actually use. I'm actually just going to delete all of this because I have my prompts that I can grab elsewhere. Again, this is my usual. I'm loving working with Scene and Sequel as well, but do whatever you wish. I'm going to grab this prompt again, paste it in, go back, grab my brain dump, paste that in there. Now it has, instead of the 800 words of story information, it has my brain dump, which was just over 1,000. And again, if I had more story information, because I do usually like to max out my brain dump, I could put a full 2,000 or whatever in here. I want to say the max I've worked with so far is about 6,000, 4,000 to 6,000 when I used a maxed out brain dump to test this originally. So in this instance, since it now has more story information, it'd be okay to say, hey, do 40, 45 chapters. In my original testing where I would put in the genre to do a high number of chapters, but we did not have this new box recently, or we did not have that new box for the custom outline. Normally about chapters 25, 20, it would start making up that story information. Another thing I want to point out to you is if you're using, for whatever reason, you want to use the smaller synopsis box, or if you want to put concise story information into that big box and still fit more words, let's say you're hitting a max there too. Again, I don't know what that max is in that custom outline box. Let's say you hit it, but you still need to get some more story information in there. Something that works great is to do something along these lines. So I have a plugin called Scene by Scene Outline. It reads brain dump, or you can highlight text and use it. And it breaks down your story information into exactly what you see here. Simple story beats, right? So think about that. Let's say you're stuck using that old synopsis box. You can use that scene by scene outline. So instead of all that filler information, all the filler words and sentences in that synopsis box, it is straight to the point. This happens, then this happens. So you can see how that will work much better. Using this method inside the old synopsis box, I was able to get to 30, 35 chapters of actual story information that I gave it before it decided, okay, I need to make up something new. Again, if for whatever reason you're wanting to use the old synopsis box, or if you do find a limit in that custom outline box and need to get more story information in there, try this. Get rid of all that filler word that is in the usual synopsis in the heart of Victorian London amidst the fog and squalor of Whitechapel. You don't need all that. Use those simple story beats to cram more story information in there. Keep it concise for the AI to easily parse through. In that custom outline, I have done that. Let's see, how many chapters did I tell it? 45, that's a lot. Let's go with 35. And I do have my formatting in there as well. Just trying to think if I want anything else. Let's keep it simple at first, and I'll show you some other prompts that I have actually done. This is going to take a little while to generate. In the meantime, I'll show you some other prompts that I have used and enjoyed with this new outline. I have a plugin for adding 2 subplots. Guess what? With this new outline, I don't need to use my plugin anymore. I can actually tell it to do that in the outline instructions. Again, I can put it inside synopsis, or now with that new instruction box, I can put it in there. This is a prompt I'm really loving. Again, romance is my main genre. I'm telling it to highlight the relationship arc between so-and-so. In my case, most of mine are enemies to lovers. I'm telling it to show them starting as enemies, eventually getting into lovers, and asking it to mark each stage accordingly. That way it's easy reference for me to adjust things. And then I tell it, include 2 subplots and also mark those accordingly. Other instructions I have used is telling it to open the story with a certain chapter. To end that, it's really listening very well to different sorts of style instructions. We see this is still going. Let's see if I can hop over into my other project. I may have, here we go. Remember, okay, so this is some more instructions we did in our AI and the author class recently, thanks to Tabby gave us. In the instructions, told it to have the essential element. Let's see what the exact instructions were. It's not here. I don't have the exact prompt, but if you watch the AI and the author recordings, you'll see it. But we had each chapter include these things right here, the essential element, important element, bonus element. You see it did that really well. I had prompted it in this instance, hey, I wanted that first chapter with the thieves approaching the mansion and breaking in. I wanted that chapter to end with them finding the captive tied up in the house. And then I wanted chapter 2 to open up with one of the thieves being in an interrogation room. So you can see here, it actually did that. Did it great. And then that allowed me to start guiding it more before I generated beats. Okay, now this is how I want that scene to open up. So that's what this is for, guiding it for the actual beats. But you see here, it listened very well to opening up that second chapter in the interrogation room. And then I had guided it to, hey, from then on, I just want it to rotate between the detective's perspective and the different thieves. Now we have Ozzy, one of the thieves, back to the detectives, another thief, back to the detective. So again, it listens very well to those things. All right, so here is our generated chapter that we just did. And you can see it listened very well to the format that I gave it. Day and time, the setting and location, and those plot points that I like. I do want to give a shout out to one of our users, Harper. She is the genius that kind of came up with this idea. Oh, hey, we were asking for that bigger synopsis box. They were letting us know there's some complications to that. And she had the foresight to think, if we do this instruction box thing, will that kind of solve the issue? And it did. So a huge shout out to Harper for doing that. She made our lives a lot simpler and made this very fun to work with. Another thing you can do, and this is something I just played with yesterday, obviously I would need to go through, edit these chapters, make sure they're in line, right? They're telling the story I want to tell, make sure everything's in order. But let's pretend I did that, okay? Something I was enjoying doing the other day is, again, we'll pretend that this is fine. Everything's good here, exactly the way I want it. When I come to the next chapter, because we know it doesn't have chapter glue yet, which, by the way, is another thing that they're hoping to get out soon to everybody, or their version of chapter glue. You can click rewrite, and I could have it. Let me read this so I can instruct it correctly. I may give it some random instructions that won't make sense for the story, but just so you get the idea of, okay. So yeah, I'm going to make up some random instructions that won't fit this story, but again, just so you have ideas. In one of my other stories, I was telling it to look at the previous chapters, or I was giving it the previous chapters and telling it to do something with that. In that instance, I will go ahead and actually use that story information here. Alicia's hesitation. Again, this isn't matching this story. Describe Alicia's hesitation towards befriending Jackson. Just, hey, this is what I want that chapter to focus on, right? In this chapter, because again, I like my chapters very short, focusing on just 1 or 2 plot points. In this chapter, this is what I want you to focus on. This relationship aspect right here. This should show Alicia and Jackson's initial enemies to allies. That's the purpose of my chapter. And then I can tell it previous chapter, and I would actually just copy in what happened in that previous chapter. Again, this is copied from here, so it's not fitting that story information, but that's what I would do. We know there's a version of this with chapter glue cards in world building. Stacy has done a great job of showcasing this in her classes. I highly recommend checking it out if you're in the Discord. the secret tips and tricks or secret tips and hacks video. So this is a shortened version of that. Instead of me giving it prose or plot points, hey, this happened after I wrote that prose, instead I'm just giving it that previous chapter summary so that it will rewrite this chapter to be in line. Okay, yeah, this is flowing. This is what happened now. I want to take this previous information, and with that, I want to now make this happen. That is using the rewrite for the chapter. And I've really enjoyed how in-depth and nuanced that has become. Let me see if there's another one I can show here. I do not think so. See what our Jack the Ripper here does. I'm looking to see if there's some more props that I have played with that I want to make sure I give to y'all. Here's an example of the subplot and how that instruction that I previously showed to include subplots and mark them. This is how that kind of looks right here in the relationship stage. So again, works very well. Right, so that is project folders coming, the new outline with the near unlimited right here. And I say near unlimited, if you cram over 100,000 words in here, okay, it might say, okay, that's enough. I mean, at this point, you wrote 100,000 words of an outline. You may as well have written the story. In other words, it's telling you, stop making the outline, just write. And then another thing that we have coming is the series support, where your series will be connected. It will see all of your characters, your world building, your outlines, things like that. I'm not sure what all else is in there. I just got a brief glimpse at it. I can just tell you it was awesome. And then chapter glue. And there were a couple of other elements. If you want the full breakdown, I recommend joining the Discord. If you're not in there already, look in the announcements channel and look at the previous community hangout, the one that just happened on November 1st. And they actually gave the roadmap of their plans. You'll see the full breakdown right there. All right, I hope you're excited about these. In project folders, new outline, lots of stuff coming. And I look forward to seeing you on the Discord or in the classes. Bye, everyone.